Hey guys, Silverline here. Wanted to talk inflation today and ways to protect yourself. I'm sure all of you have gone to the pump lately or to a grocery store and you've seen prices just getting out of control. They're outpacing wages. It's hard times. It's hard to keep up. You got to find like a side hustle just to make ends meet. Maybe cut down on some expenses that you don't need, like Netflix or, you know, Hulu, whatever. So I wanted to talk inflation. They printed about, if you look back in the last few years, they printed like the total amount of money. They printed so much money. They printed trillions that it comes out to some crazy amount. Like I think it's around 70% of the total money in today's circulation was printed in the last few years. And it blows my mind. That's really crazy that they printed that much. And they used the medical crisis as an excuse. Then people are trying to point the finger and say it's Biden, it's this, it's that, and then even the government was saying, oh, it's Putin's fault because of all the issues going on with Russia. And I don't want to get too political in that because YouTube likes to censor accounts when you talk about those sensitive subjects. So I'm going to try and avoid getting too into that. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you what it is. It's the Federal Reserve. They're printing money straight out of their ass, and they loan it out to the government, and the government needs to pay them back. So they tax us. The reason the dollar hasn't got this crazy to, I mean, read that $500 million. The reason the government hasn't got to this stage is because there's a very special thing about the dollar. The dollar is the world reserve currency. So what that means is that a lot of countries are stockpiling, if not the banks in these countries, have to stockpile gold. Oh, I'm sorry. They have to stockpile dollars. I was about to say gold. Uh, they have a bunch of dollars in their vaults or in their accounts, and they need it because there's this thing called the petrodollar. So they need dollars to transact so they can get oil and gas. Otherwise, their economy simply won't run. Pretty simple, right? So things are starting to change, and the Saudis are making deals with different countries. I'm sure you heard of BRICS. What does that stand for? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's what it stands for. Those five countries. And look it up. There's even more countries joining. And basically, they're trying to dethrone the dollar. They don't like the dollar because, you know, the US had basically a monopoly on violence with their dollar. So if they don't like what you do, they'll just turn you off. They'll just, they'll throw sanctions your way. They'll cut you off from trade or do whatever they need to do, you know, to penalize you if you don't play by the rules. And these countries are basically sick and tired of it. So they're like, we want a better system, a more fair system. And they're even talking about backing their currency with gold or a basket of commodities, maybe oil, gold. And the BRICS want to release their own currency. Who knows if it's going to be digital? And there's a lot of complications there because you do have, a backed currency and then a redeemable currency. So you got to understand there's two different things when you're talking about a backed currency and a redeemable. So I think if we do get towards a backed currency, excuse me, we're in the right direction because right now the dollar isn't backed by anything. I mean, the reason I just discussed why, a lot of countries and banks are holding it so they can have their economies up and running, be able to pay for gas and all this other stuff. But yeah. So inflation is the silent killer. It is the milk spot right there. It is a hidden tax ultimately because you're spending more for the same stuff, and it sucks. It just diminishes your lifestyle. Your living standards are going down. You're trying to make ends meet. You're trying to pay for stuff that you paid for and you're able to afford, and your company's just not giving you the same raise that inflation is at. You know, it's just it's crazy to me. So the way you can protect yourself is buying this stuff. This stuff has been money for thousands of years. We got gold today. It's close to its all-time high. Very, very solid investment, if you ask me. I look at more as insurance. This is all insurance over, this dirty fiat money that you really don't want to be holding on to. I mean, we could get more into this. So this is, it says right here, Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. So imagine having all your wealth in this. Imagine you were working 30 years, 40 years, and you're like, oh, I can finally retire. And then this happens where the money gets so devalued, they add all these zeros, and all this money you saved your whole life is literally could be worthless overnight. It's happened to Lebanon, Venezuela. Man, those countries are just upside down because of this. It's so crazy to me. Look, so I did a little research, and this is an ounce. Everybody knows this is an ounce. This is an eagle. About a quarter of this in Venezuela. If you had a quarter of this, not even the full ounce, I heard it would feed you for a month. An ounce of silver. I don't even think it matters whether it's an eagle or this generic round right here. So, what? This would feed your family for a month? A family of 4? So, what do you want to hold at the end of the day? This? Promised by the government? Like, come on. The banks? A bunch of crooks? No, you want this stuff. I also heard you can buy a house. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know how accurate it is, but you buy a house with an ounce of gold. This is a quarter ounce, as you can see. So 4 more of these would get you a house in Venezuela. Just to put in perspective how their money is so worthless that literally you would see this in the street. Literally just littered in the street. It's so not worth picking up. You know when you're at the grocery store and you see a penny on the ground and you're like, I'm not picking that up. Why won't you pick it up? It's money. Well, at the end of the day, you're like, it's not going to buy me anything. So why would I waste my time, risk breaking my back or tripping for a penny? So that's what happens to fiat currencies. Every single fiat currency has a track record of going to zero. This will never be worth zero. Never. This is what you want to hold on to. Gold and silver has been money. You can even get crazy and get some platinum and palladium, some wild cards, I like to call them. They're more like industrial metals. They do better when the economy is doing a little, better because it's a lot of components in cars, catalytic converters and stuff that those are used. But ultimately, you cannot go wrong with gold and silver. This isn't financial advice, but I do recommend what the general rule of thumb is of your net worth or your portfolio to have about 5 to 10% of this. I'm a little more extreme. I'm probably way above 50% just because I wanted to get a head start of my retirement and my savings. And this is perfect for saving because when you have cash, for example, I know this is not dollars, but when you have cash, it's so easy. Just spend, spend, spend. When you have this, there's like additional steps. You got to go to a coin shop. You got to drop it on the table. They got to look at it. They got to give you a price, and then you got to agree. And, it's just, there's more layers of friction. So this, in me, is a superior way of saving. And it's pretty cool because you can get like a little capsule like this, little tube. And you can just slowly work your way up, You just buy empty tube, probably costs around $2-3. And then, every week just dollar cost average, say, you know what, I really like the Eagles. Crazy premium, I know. They go around for what, $45? I'll buy one a week. 20 fit in a tube. 20 weeks later, boom. You got a whole tube full of Eagles. And that is how I started stacking. I ended up getting a whole monster box doing this. Actually, 2, to be transparent. So it's a little strategy I like to do, And then you could buy the generics and do the same thing. Get another tube, fill it up. But ultimately, that's what you want to do to protect yourself from inflation. Silver has some crazy premium right now because the demand's so high. Gold, like I said before, is near its all-time high. And the more money they keep printing, the more it's going to chase goods. So eventually, asset prices will keep going up. Gold and silver will also go up. And this is what you want to have. Because, think about it. Let's say you have $1 million in the bank or 100,000. And all of a sudden, overnight, it just becomes devalued by 5, 10%. It's a scary reality. You were working your whole life for funny money, and then it doesn't buy you anything, or it just buys you much less. Like, why would you want to be put in that predicament? So the government can take care of you after they already took care of you with your money because they just print it to oblivion while they're just robbing the nation? This is what you want. They lie about everything. They lie about the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, and they measure inflation in such a funky way that it's just incorrect. They'll tell you inflation's 8, 10%. That's false. It is not. I mean, go to the grocery store. Do you think everything went up by 10, 8%? No, it's like double in some states, even gas. You can't really fool the people when they're like out there spending and they see. So at the end of the day, I can't, scream any harder to tell everybody to invest in this stuff. And it's just funny because a lot of people think I just like the coins. It's like, ooh, yeah, I get it. I mean, some have cool designs, Kangaroo looks real cool, but at the end of the day, I know my history. Some milk spots here, but it's not perfect, but I'll take this over dirty fiat any day. But I know my history, and history shows that all these fiat currencies just end up going to zero. Why would I want to hold that? Why would I want to risk everything I've been working for my whole life just to get demolished by inflation? This is a little more extreme. This is hyperinflation right here. But, you could watch this video and just be like, "Oh, that's cool. That's entertaining. That's fun. Haha. Yeah, I'm just going to keep, working for this." I mean, ask yourself, there's people like in Venezuela or Zimbabwe, they probably didn't even think about it. And now it's their reality. This is what they live in. They have to deal with prices changing every day, every week, every month. Imagine you're going to like your favorite burger place, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, it's $5 more a day than yesterday." You're like, "What?" That's a reality for some of these people in these countries. It's just shocking and crazy to me. So I don't want you to become a statistic. I make these videos so I can like educate. I'm not the best at delivering and expressing all my thoughts. This is my first time doing this, so I'm trying to get some kind of theme going, routine here, and try and deliver my message as clear as I can. And I hope I can help educate some of you guys to go down the right path. I want you guys to have some of this stuff, just in case, let's say nothing happens. That's fine. Then you got this stuff, You want to go buy that toy, sell some of your stack. You want to, pay some bills in advance, sell your stack. It's not that bad, Or, you want to think long term, hold this for retirement. You got a lot of options when you have this. It's like a savings account. You got to look at it like that, and an insurance policy, because you can get home insurance, you can get insurance for your car, but no one ever talks about insurance for your dirty fiat money. So that'll conclude my rant. I appreciate you tuning in. Please stack this stuff. Forget that. And like and subscribe for more. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a good one.